The next part which I'd like to introduce to you, and again, this is truly important. It might be at the beginning of the concept of diversity at workplace and sustainability. We are talking about racial diversity. I'd like you to think about the fact that we are living in the world where people come from various racial backgrounds, and race itself is quite easy for it to be judgmental. At workplace, when you look at each other, when we look at our friends, colleagues, customers, suppliers, we tend to look at them from their physical appearance, the way they talk, the language they use, as well as the body language they use to communicate with you. What's important here is I understand that it is so easy for us human beings to judge other people from the physical appearance. Hence, the concept of racial diversity is here. Why is that? Let me illustrate some example to you. Well, first, when it comes to race and ethnic groups, in most countries in the world, particular from those in the first world, if you think of the United States of America, Australia, New Zealand, they are migrant countries. So comes with migrants, it's diversity and richness in culture. Racial and diaspora issue seems to be one important issue. So when you have a society where people from different other racial backgrounds live together, share resources, and interact, that can contribute to misunderstanding. At workplace, it is very difficult to manage people of different views, and perhaps looking at racial issue can be one important aspect to understand. In my experience working in Australia and New Zealand, I realized that we try to make a big different workplace. Well, first of all, by creating a platform for people of different racial backgrounds to have their voice echo into the workplace. But I mentioned to you again that in those kind of society, people tend to judge each other from the physical appearance, and race can contribute to that. Come back to Southeast Asia, one thing that we find is quite interesting, and perhaps it's a real challenge for all of us managing organization in Southeast Asia is race can go beyond physical appearance. You might work in a Thai corporate and you have got people who've got the similar look, but of course they're of different racial backgrounds. We speak different languages, we use different interpretation, but we seem to be seen as the similar issues, similar race, similar idea, or people of different views to the world. So it is important for us to be able to define the need of people from different races and diaspora at workplace. Second, we should be able to transform this racial diversity into the benefit of the organization. And you may question how. Well, that's simple. Listen to them, listen to what they need, listen to their specialty. And the last part, which I think is important for us from the racial perspective, is you should be able to incorporate their understanding from the racial background and then transform that into human resources policy as well as marketing or different other forms of management policies. By now, you should be able to draw the link between the concept of sustainability and diversity. And more importantly, you should understand why diversity and inclusiveness is important to all of us in management. Well, it is my hope that this concept will instill your policy and the way you work with your colleagues. What's important for me is, well, at this stage, I would like you to think about how can we really transform this into the long-term benefit for the organization, whether you work in the for-profit, not-for-profit, or in the government sectors. The concept is very important. Diversity as an idea, we know this is really important where we live in the West world, but how can we make it real and for the sake of the benefit of society? Well, first, we understand that the concept of diversity starts at individual levels, all right? Most diversity and inclusion engagement start and stopped at personal balance. It is really a great place to start, but inclusion cannot be sustainable if the only focus is on individual behavior. Raising the level of self-awareness and, more importantly, focusing on impact over the intent will show progress at the individual level. The second layer of this story is on the group and team, right? The group membership have a powerful impact on the individual behavior. I'd like you to think about the insider and outsider dynamics, which are often at play under the surface and express themselves in unconscious bias. Affinity groups and leadership development on team management are a few solutions at this level. So what next? The next level, which is important, we need to look at the system at the organization. Well, organizational biases are expressed in policy and perhaps many times in procedures. This system will often dictate culture fit or the so-called the prescribed norms, which when not mitigated will override any individual development over time. Well, we have to think about ways to focus on systemic change and removing hidden biases. All of these steps will pave the way for the first two levels to achieve their goals faster and obviously longer. Very important point for me is we need to look beyond the organization. You need to look at marketplace. Creating inclusive relationship is not just reserved for fellow employee. You need to, on behalf of the company, to work and look to extending inclusion to their clients, supplier, and different other stakeholders in society. With all this, and again, expose yourself to diverse concepts and people. This will help you and your organization to find the right balance on diversity, relationship, value of people, and more importantly, sustainable management. Well, this is again my hope that you will be able to draw the links and find the good value of this topic and transform this into your action at workplace on defining the concept of diversity and its relationship with sustainability. Once again, thank you so much for your time to spend together on this lesson, and I look forward to working with you at the next topic. Thank you.